Hi everyone, today I'm going to be replacing this worn out shock absorber in this customer's car. He's been complaining for a couple of weeks about it banging, and apparently it was advised on the last MOT that it needed replacing, so we're going to go ahead and do it today. First thing I'm going to do is remove this brake pipe. So it's got a clip on it that I like to grab hold of with some side cutters, but if you don't have side cutters, pliers should be able to be fine, that's not an issue. Just grab it like so and leverage it up. I like to do it until I create a gap in between the clip and the hose, and then just change it out with a screwdriver and just flick it out the rest of the way. Yeah, the gap's not big enough yet, so I'm going to move back to my side cutters. I have to excuse the noise. There's a road sweeper driving past at the moment. I am on the street outside a customer's house, so I have to combat the noise of that. There we are, popped out on one. Next is replacing this ABS clip here. Unfortunately, when I removed it, I got my back in the way, so what you need to do is pushing the clip there where my pick was, and then slide the whole thing up off the bracket there, and that should bring it free. As you can see now. With that off, now I'm going to pull my attention to this droplink. I started off with using my gun, but if you hear now, you can hear a tone change there. It's where it's just starting to spin, so it's not actually undoing it anymore. So I'm going to have to use a 19mm spanner to hold the nut, and then I'm going to have to use an Allen key to spin the stud in the middle. But I didn't take a note of the size. I just grabbed one and shoved it in. So pay attention to that on yours. Make sure you got the right one. Make sure it's not too small and it doesn't strip the insides out. I was just lucky that I was able to gauge the sides by sight. This comes out nice and easy, but I did have one a couple of weeks back that was a pain. So I created a video, which I'll put a link into the description for you, of how to remove those stubborn drop links, just in case yours is causing you any problems. The nut is off the end of the stud. What I like to do is pop it out. Sorry for the wind there. And then put the nut back on the end of the stud so I know what nut goes where when it comes to reassembling it. Just a couple of turns so it doesn't fall off. I'm now going to divert my attention to releasing the shock from the head here. These two nuts and bolts. They're both at 18mm, so what I'm going to do is attach my spanner to one side and then zip it up with my gun on the other side. But if you don't have a gun and you only have two spanners, that's fine, or a ratchet, or whatever you have to turn these bolts. Got my spanner on the wrong way there. And with the top one out, the bottom one tends to be a bit of a pain to get out because it's taking a load of the hub. See it kick forward there, then it's loose now, but that hub is resting on that bolt, so what you're going to do is wiggle it and take the load off of it until it comes free. Sometimes you have to give it a bit of a tap with a hammer or try twisting out the other side. There we are. That's sat flush now on the other side, so I can't hammer it anymore. So what you can do here now is use a punch or twist it out. But now you can see that it's free. And we're going to separate them both now. There we are. We're going to move up top now to disconnect the shock from the top of the chassis up there. I honestly say that this is the worst shock retaining clip or securing device. I don't know, I normally have these bolts. These one has a plastic clip that I tend to find that if I just wiggle around with it enough, it tends to come free. It usually involves going in around where the screwdriver is now and just prying those teeth up in the top here, and just prying it apart and letting those teeth separate. But again, that doesn't always work, so I just play around with it until it comes free. There we go, just popped up, and do you hear it off the teeth? So keep doing that now until they totally separate. I tend to find that if you put your hand underneath and take the load off, they tend to come a little bit easier, and sometimes it does make a difference. When that's totally off now, you'll be able to pull the shock up from underneath and go and compress it. The spring compress stage. I'm quite lucky that I have this big shop compressor sort of thing. But if you don't have one of them available, get one of those cheaper mechanical ones off of eBay, where you just screw up the shaft in the middle and it pulls the jaws together. That'll do the trick just fine. With that compressed, then you want to remove the top mounts. There's a cover here. I'm going to use a pick just to flick the cover off. I'm going to use my 21mm socket on the end of an impact gun. I have a feeling it's not going to work, but you know, sometimes it does, so let's give it a go. It's not, you can hear it spinning again there, look. So we're going to have to use a spanner and a socket again. Like I said, it's 21mm, so use a 21mm offset spanner. And just undo it like a standard nut on a thread. Sorry about that, just line you back up properly. Right, I didn't have a 21mm offset, so I've improvised. If it works, it works, don't mock it. And I'm just going to twist the stud on the inside, or the shaft of the shock, until it comes free from the nut. That tapping noise is starting to get annoying now, so I'm just going to hold this and just work it free. There can't be much left on the thread now. Now we're just going to slide the new shock up into place, making sure the tail of the spring lines up. With the stopper on the bottom of the shock. I'm going to try to use my gun again, just because I like an easy life, but the chances are it's not going to work. But we can just go back to my improvised spanner if it doesn't. Yeah, let's just use the improvised spanner. And just get that up as tight as you can. It's a slightly different size on this one, with a new shock. The bottom of this is spinning now, so before you decompress the spring, make sure everything's lined up in place, ready to go back together later. There you go now. Decompress the spring, and it's ready now to refit back to the vehicle in reverse order.